Welcome back, guys, to the Spurgeon Piper. This is Wilson with you. So, today we're covering a topic that's asked quite a bit, and it can be a little bit more confusing than we first let on, and that is what is an aromatic tobacco? Now, before we jump into that, I always like to let you know when I am smoking today and what pipes. So, I am smoking two pipes as usual. Tuesdays are days I usually have more time to sit and do most of my sermon preparation for the week, and so I probably smoke more on Tuesdays than the other day. I'm smoking out of my 2019 Christmas Peterson 68, and which is one of my favorite pipes. And then also one of my favorite pipes really is my Peterson 107 Aran. So mostly a Virginia Burley, mostly a Virginia Perique blend pipe, designated pipe. So Stonehenge Flake for today. There's another one I'm smoking right now for a review coming up, and I'm smoking a variety of Virginia Burleys out of this one, including one that will probably be reviewed this week. So I'll let that kind of be a teaser there. So let me set these aside and let's get into the topic. Now this is one I see come up a lot, either on forums, Facebook or elsewhere, and it's asked what is an aromatic, and my understanding greatly did change over time. So when I think aromatic, I often just thought anything that has had any type of additives, right? That's what we think of. You guys are smoking English or Virginia blends. You're smoking the leaf of Virginia, the Virginia leaf or the Burley leaf, or you're smoking various Oriental leaves there. So you're staying pure. Where all these aromatics, they have additives on top of them. They have additives for the cherry and for the caramel and for the chocolate and etc. And, and I think maybe that's what most people think, but it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. So I went out and I wanted to get more understanding and make sure I was kind of correct on this, and so I did search out some more uh, experts for those who deal with tobacco more often. And so like John David Cole of the Country Squire in Mississippi, and Jeremy Reeves of Cornell and Dill, and GLPs himself, which I'm of course a fan of. And so I want to tell you up front, this is still going to be like a controversial thing because that's just it's just one of those things. Kind of like the old Balkan English debate. What is a Balkan? What it is in English? And there's differences in understanding on that in the tobacco realm. Well, that's kind of going to be the case here. So to get like assistance, back me up, I am pulling from some more, definitely far more experts than I am or probably ever will be. So let me give you one example of an aromatic or a definition. Now this comes from John David Cole. Again, he's the Country Squire tobacconist, or owner of the Country Squire. They do have the Country Squire radio, wonderful podcast. If you're interested, I'm going to leave a link if you're interested in listening to that. Specifically, one episode, and that's episode 363, and that's where John David Cole and then Bo, his co-host, they defend aromatic tobacco. But this is a kind of a quote from here. It's going to be a little butchered. I didn't get it word for word, so bear that in mind. But when he's going over what an aromatic is, he says that an aromatic it is a blend that has had enough topping through processing where there is enough to have a noticeable room note and taste. So you're modifying the taste like something else distinctively, you're on purpose. So you're taking a blend and you want it to have a cherry note, like a Colt Red Moon, if you're familiar with that one, or you want something to have a chocolate or a caramel or a vanilla or a whiskey or etc. You're wanting it to have that flavor. You're wanting it to have that aroma. And so it's both like a smell, which you think aroma, aromatic, and the taste as well. All right, so you're probably on same page there, right? That makes sense. That's what we're going for. Um, but it's still not so easy, straightforward. Maybe there's still a little bit of distinctions. So we then have on the other side, and this is where it gets complicated, that a lot, if not most or all blends that you're going to try have additives. They have toppings. They have some type of they've been tampered with, if you will. for various reasons, maybe to change the pH of the blend, or maybe just to add a simple casing to bring out the flavor of a blend, kind of like we use with salt. So Jeremy Reeves is like the lead master, the blend master, if you will, of Cornell and Dill. And Jeremy says, there are no hard and fast rules or definitions on this, but in Cornell and Dill's own approach to this term, we think of aromatics as being flavored in such a way that it would affect the room note for those around who are not actually smoking the blend. So there he gets into it can be a little it can waver on what you think and what other people say. And the reason why I mentioned that most blends have various additives is he makes this other comment that the reality is that many pipe tobacco manufacturers have simply not discussed what they have added to their tobacco, or in some rare cases have made their claims that no additives are used. But the reality is that it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to leave a link to this article where I get this information from him as well. I think you'll benefit from it. But needless to say, most tobaccos we have additives. Even if it's a simple sugar casing, it has an additive. Or even English blends have some type of addition to make it more smokable. Back to John David Cole, he makes a comment that frankly, smoking pure tobacco isn't that great. You're not really going to enjoy it. Maybe it's different for cigars. That's out of my realm. So if you're a cigar smoker and you want to go, whoa, 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 that's not correct. That might be a different animal in a bit. So I'm talking more about pipe tobacco itself. But he says, and I quote, natural tobaccos are bad. They don't taste good. And so they do have additions and additives. So that means, okay, well, if everything has an additive, what makes it that aromatic tobacco? Well, getting back to what John David Cole and Jeremy Reeves says, it seems that where maybe we can find ourselves in a good place to describe it, it's where you're adding things to make a distinction in the flavor and taste. There's purpose. I don't have a link for this one, but GLPs makes a comment that most of his blends, even as well, have some type of additive. And one he notes that doesn't on purpose is like Union Square. So Union Square is one of his pure Virginia blends that he makes the comment that he's had no toppings, no casings whatsoever. There may be some type of additives, but it's like a pure Virginia, where most maybe aren't, or probably aren't. Um, so what are tobaccos that kind of go in between? What are tobaccos that can be, maybe you would think are pure, but have an aromatic note to them? Or aromatics or blends that you think are aromatics but aren't. I'm going to give you some examples. Maybe this will help you out. One is one I've talked about a lot, I've reviewed, and that's University Flake by Peterson. Now, this is a Virginia Burley blend. You look it up, it is a Virginia Burley blend. It is in that category. So then it has no toppings, right? Well, no. I've mentioned this before. It does have a topping. It has like a plum berry topping to it. You will taste it in the blend. Now, will you smell it in the air if you're smoking it? No, not really. It would be very hard to smell. And that's coming from others around me who are not pipe smokers. So this would be one that is not an aromatic per se, but it does have has an additional, a topping of a berry or plum flavoring. All right. Another one. This is Aaronmore Flake. Now, Aaronmore is a Virginia Burley as well. But this one is noted to have a citrus topping or a citrus and floral topping on this as well. And so, along with University Flake, it's not in that. The purpose isn't to make it a aromatic. It doesn't fit in that category too well. So it's not a aromatic according to definitions that are often used by, well, those like John David Cole, Jeremy Reeves, and probably some other blenders that are more well known. One more I'll give you an example of is Cornell and Dill Bijou. Now, this is a Virginia Oriental blend, but it does have a topping of honey. So is it meant to be a honey aromatic? No, it's to kind of just top it off, or as they say, just to marry the blend with a hint of honey before it's pressed and sliced. So it has a topping, We would naturally maybe call that, hey, aromatic, but it's not an aromatic. That's not the purpose of the blenders. It's not the purpose of the blend to make it a aromatic and smell it in the air. I can tell you, you definitely don't smell any honey in the air on this one, and hardly even taste it as well. Okay, so we get a little bit more into that gray area where this one some may even call an aromatic and some don't call it that at all, and that's Peterson's Sherlock Holmes. Now I've seen Sherlock Holmes listed as aromatic in some places and listed as like a Virginia-based blend in some places. This one's been around for many years, and I believe it's one of the oldest recipes. Don't quote me on that, but it is an old recipe, and it does use red Virginias, orange Virginias, and there's controversy on Burley, though Peterson claims there's Burley in it, but it does have an aroma or aromatic toppings on it, and they rate it high in an aromatic level as far as like they have levels 1, 2, 3, 4 where they rate their blends, and they have it at a number 4 for aromatic. So some call this a aromatic, some don't. So that one kind of goes into that gray area that's kind of confusing, right? But then of course we had those that are purposefully made to be aromatics. GLPs. I reviewed Virginia cream. Now, Virginia cream, it's primarily Virginia. It has some Kentucky leaf in there, but it's primarily Virginia. But it has a casing of vanilla, or maybe it's a topping. I think it's a casing. Don't quote me on that one either. But the purpose of GLPs in making this blend was to make it an aromatic. So you smell this in the air. You taste the vanilla in the blend. It is noticeable. It is the purpose is to cause a distinction in the blend itself or in the leaf. So it's not just like a mere additive, like topping of berry in University Flake or floral citrus notes in Aaronmore. There was a purpose to change the leaf or the blend itself and to have it have a different note, a vanilla note. And then another one, and this is from the Country Squire, and I reviewed this one as well, and that's Rivendell from their Middle Earth series. This one has cocoa, some walnut, chocolate, maybe caramel if I recall. It has those flavors added to it. The reason being to give it those flavors. Like it's to not just simply be like, hey, here's some Virginia and maybe kind of to just slightly tweak it. Here's a little bit of additives. No, the purpose was to have it taste like chocolate and taste like walnuts and kind of transform the leaf into something else. And that is what has happened with this blend, and you smell it in the air. So to kind of wrap this all up, aromatics isn't simply a topping or isn't simply in addition to a blend, as most blends have some type of casing or topping. It could be simple sugar, or as you guys know, it could be a whiskey, some type of liqueur. We have navy flakes. Navy flakes have usually, not always, but navy flakes predominantly have some type of liqueur or rum additive to them. That's what makes them navy flakes, but we never call them aromatics. So it's not simply that there's an addition, it's that there was a purpose to transform the flavor, a purpose to give it an aromatic, an aroma in the air. So maybe that helps you guys. Maybe that gives you a little insight. It leaves a little gray area, just like some other regions and or discussions and fields. But there is somewhat of a difference and distinction in what an aromatic is and what's not an aromatic. So if you have questions or comments or disagreements, hey, post them in the comments below, Facebook page, things like that, and get a conversation going, because there's room for conversation on this. So guys, I hope you have a great week. You take care. This Friday should be a tobacco review out on one I've been looking forward to trying. I did put out or been looking forward to reviewing. I did put out a poll just to get some insight on where I should go and what I should try, because I've had several in mind, but you guys nailed it down to a Virginia Burley. So that's coming up this week, this Friday. And until then, y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.